Howdy, I'm John Hart Asher. This week on Central Texas Gardener, John and Jane Dromgoole, founders of The Natural Gardener, tour us through their home garden. At the Whole Life Learning Center and Cultivate Holistic Supply, permaculture grows Caroline Riley and Michael Carberry's vision. Este Garden female farmers Ana Maria Gutierrez and Leah Scott transitioned from summer to cool weather crops. So let's get growing right here, right now. At John and Jane Dromgoole's nursery, The Natural Gardener, they foster organic techniques and plants that accept our soil and weather. They brought their work home as they built their house, gardens, and outdoor living patios. Let's take a tour and hear John's story.
John Dromgoole's been spinning tunes and tales on the radio since high school. Then he turned the mic over to organic gardening as the host of Gardening Naturally on News Radio KLBJ from 1981 to 2019.
I was in the Organic Gardening Club for a while and was the president for 4 years. There were so many little things like that. Paul Pryor used to invite me on his show on KLBJ. He was on a program that he called Early Risers, and they started at 5 a.m. And if Paul wanted to ask a question because he heard about me, I was there at 5. And so I was able to translate to the public what they wanted to hear and about the reduction of pesticides, and that it was much easier to build a healthy soil and then grow your plants nicely. And then pretty soon, people stopped laughing when I said manure. They began to understand that I was talking about compost and things.
An organic gardening trailblazer with long-term roots in Austin's nursery business, in 1983, he purchased 8 acres in southwest Austin and opened The Natural Gardener. He and wife Jane brought the work home with them as they built their house, gardens, and outdoor living retreats.
It's a lot to know about, and it's a lot to learn. I talk about plants all the time at work, and I have the experience of saying, well, it does this. And if it's a Dicea, for example, do not put your finger in because you won't get it back out. I've learned these little things like that, and that's what they appreciate, somebody who's done it.
These days, they're supervised by Energetic Lobo. David Stalker, garden advisor and handyman, brings his expertise to every project. Like many gardeners, John's early passion germinated with houseplants and tropicals like bromeliads.
That kind of plant is what first got my attention, especially the cryptanthus. Crypt meaning down and deep, and then anthus, the flower.
He protects cold-sensitive plants in his greenhouse. It's also where he propagates them and builds cultivation knowledge to teach new plant parents. The wide plant spectrum fascinates his endless curiosity.
One of the things I like to do in the greenhouse is mount tillandsias. Tillandsias are like ball moss. They grow in the trees in the southern part of Mexico and other areas down there. This is one of them, very unusual looking. These are mounted on posts like they would be in the open areas, maybe out in the forest, and they look really nice. They're easy to grow, and the roots are just for holding on, not necessarily for nutrients.
To maximize space, a pulley and rope design suspends heavy-duty hanging plants and brings them down close for care. They designed the greenhouse to resemble a comfy cottage. Even one section of the roof is covered. Inside, that's where he puts plants that appreciate a sunbreak. Lattice inside also breaks up harsh rays. A country home-style porch double duties as workbench space and a shady spot to sit back and sit a while. Jane and John carry their outdoor living to a flagstone patio where inviting furniture beckons downtime. An eye always to recycle, reuse. Clever rustic panels separate the patio from a studio, while a gate allows another entrance route. The path to the house curves along beds documented with plants, containers, and strategically colorful accents.
Jane and I built the house based on going to Santa Fe, and then the Fredericksburg area, and then South Texas, and all of those pieces were put together in the house.
Jane and John corralled wide spaces with distinct areas that seamlessly flowed together. A cedar arbor leads to a grassy, summertime shady nook, right in early December after leaf fall. They fashioned a cozy cabana with a bamboo pergola painted in festive crayon colors. David used water-based acrylic brushed on by hand. When a woodpecker built its nest inside a supporting post, David had an idea.
We built the cabana, and you see the post coming up. It was a perfect opportunity. Well, let's put a birdhouse up there. And sure enough, they've already found it in just a matter of days.
They counterpoint wide views with intimate encounters. A tiny Zen garden frames the studio's wall with peaceful design and its water feature, a gleaming rainwater harvesting cistern. Patio containers invite close-up perusal while dignifying spaces with accenting color and texture. Plus, they're a good option for seasonal changeouts or plants that need winter protection in the greenhouse. Berms also elevate dimension while improving soil drainage. In the vegetable garden, fences and cattle panel trellises do more than support blackberries and upcoming grapes.
But it's nice to have spaces defined. That's why we put a fence around it. The garden, it's the vegetable garden. It's a sacred space. And let's enclose it and define that area.